Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome to week 4. We're going to call this the researched argument week, although that's kind of what you've been working toward all along. But this week, especially, you're going to see all your research, all your work crystallize, culminate in a researched argument that is compelling and persuasive and informative and well considered and thoughtful. All of the things should come together in this essay. That's why I sometimes refer to it as a capstone, even though it doesn't fall necessarily at the very end of the course. It is, or it should be, a good representation of who you are as a writer, taking all your skills from Comp 1, combining them with some research and some strategies and some argument from Comp 2, and in order to get you to a big 6 to 8 page paper that fully explores an issue that matters not just to you, but obviously to someone else, because you're including and incorporating outside research. That becomes an obviously important component in this essay. So I want to talk about it for a little bit as you're working toward it. Theoretically, when you designed your proposals and revised your proposals, you should have been working towards something that says, okay, here's what I want to do, here's how I want to do it, this is how I'm going to do it. That sort of thing had to come through. Some of your proposals didn't really represent that, and I left some feedback to that effect, just so that you make sure you're aware of how you're going to incorporate your outside research, how you're going to begin your essay. Are you going to effectively, or how you're going to effectively build the background of the controversy, and then move into your claim or your thesis, your position, and then what type of evidence you're going to use to support that. So let's talk a little bit about that, the basic framework for this. I don't want to dictate entirely how you have to put this together, but I do want you to be sure that you check some of these boxes. Okay, so first of all, as you open this paper, and I've said this before, make sure that you have a very strong background overview, history, consideration of the actual controversy, the dilemma. You know why it's important, and you know a lot about it, but you have to assume that your reader isn't on the same page as you. So as you begin, what you want to do is let us know, why is this warranted? Why is this important? Why are you even talking about it? Why is this something that we should care about? There has to be some relevance established, and often that's the piece that gets missed, because you jump in because you're thinking like, hey, I'm doing all this reading. Obviously, this is an important subject, but you need, for your reader's sake, to start at the beginning, establish that controversy a little bit. Then you can move into your position and what you hope, obviously, to prove. Don't tell me what you're going to do. Don't tell your reader, in this paper I'm going to. Do not do that, okay? Just let it happen. Okay, don't tell me what you're going to do. Just do it. And that'll also help you as you work through developing your voice and the structure and the construction of the argument as you design it. You figure out what it is that's going to work best for you in terms of taking all of this evidence and putting it to work for your argument and for your reader. You should be adding sources, some of you a lot more than others, and I've left feedback to that effect also on your annotated bibs. I'm almost finished with those. I was out of town for several days, and I thought I would get more done than I did, so I'll finish all those up today. I'm back. And so for many of you, your body of resources was leaving you, or is leaving you, at a little bit of a disadvantage. So you need to do some more of your work, okay, on the research front, just to find good, credible, reliable sources. I gave you all of that information about the databases and things like that, so that you can get some materials that are going to work for you and for your paper. Make sure that they're going to be considered valid resources. Then you're going to sit down. You might want to do an outline. I've posted a sample outline on Brightspace. I don't necessarily encourage you to use that. It depends on the argument that you're making and how you're presenting it. Some people will provide an argument, counter-argument type presentation. Others of you won't at all, and you don't need to. It weighs entirely on the type of argument you're making, the type of evidence that you have, the style of writing you plan to employ. So don't let that dictate exclusively. But if you're really confused and you have a more traditional argument with multiple sides, then that outline might work for you. I also posted a sample paper. I always like teeter between posting too much and not enough, and usually it's on the too much side, so I'm sorry. Take what you can from it. Make sure you review the assignment sheet and then the rubric to make sure that you're doing everything that needs to be done in the essay. But begin with an introduction that's fully developed of the controversy, then move into your position, then move into the evidence that you're providing. Full-bodied evidence. Provide outside support so that you build your own credibility as you're presenting this. Make sure when you're citing material from these outside sources that you integrate it smoothly, okay? You've probably all done this before, but I'll say it again. As a reminder, there's something, it's been presented to you probably in different ways, but basically I call it a quote sandwich, all right? So whenever you're going to pull outside information into your essay, you want to preview, meaning lead into it, you don't just drop it randomly. Then you present the actual quote, whether it's a direct quote or paraphrase, whatever it is, and then you have to follow through. So you have a bun, the meat, which is the quote, and then a follow through. Okay, something that talks about why that's significant. Don't make your reader do that work, all right? Link that piece of information that you've provided that you have deemed significant enough to include in your essay. Link it back to your thesis. Remind the reader why that's important. Don't just toss it out there and expect the reader to do the work. So it's important to remember that the reader's not in your head, even though sometimes it feels like it because you've processed this information for so long. So as you're working through and you're bringing all of those outside sources in, you're sandwiching them. So you're making sure that they're contextualized, making sure that they connect back to your overall thesis, and then you're also connecting to your next piece. Okay, so the transitions, the movement between ideas. Again, slow yourself down and elaborate. Really give that some time to grow in your essay. Same thing as you transition from one paragraph to the next. You make sure that you do it in a way that that clearly connects things. The outline, Alex, sorry, will help you do that, but you also want to make sure that you're providing those smooth connections for the reader. You have to cite using MLA. In most cases, if you've introduced the quote or the information with the author's last name, then you don't really need to provide anything else. If you're using a book or something that has pagination, you'll have to include parenthetically then the page number. The punctuation goes outside of the parentheses at the end, okay, at the end of the actual citation. Sorry, my dog's being really weird. Anyway, so you'll want to make sure that you use MLA for those citations, and there's lots and lots of resources to help you do that correctly. As to the works cited page, the end bibliography, you do not need to annotate your sources again. All right, the annotated bib stood on its own as a resource, as a tool, toward the final research project. So you don't need to annotate. If you add sources, great. If you eliminate some of the sources, maybe you didn't use them after you started writing, you realized some of them weren't as necessary or weren't used in your essay, you don't have to include those. What I want to see on the works cited page is a listing of the works that are either included or helped you, contributed to the development of that essay. So that's what I would look for. You also you'll be posting this one twice also, so the rough draft is due Tuesday night in the Dropbox so that I can review it and give you feedback. And then again, I'll open up some discussion boards and put you into groups. I actually may keep the same groups since you were all able to read one another's proposals and the annotations before. It might be interesting to see what those people have done with their papers. I was really pleased with some of your feedback to one another on the annotated bibs. Some of you just did a really good job of offering some supportive feedback, some constructive criticism. Seemed to me like that worked out very well. So I kind of want to keep you in the same groups. I know some of you had people who just didn't post. Obviously, that's not your fault. Okay, I can't hold you responsible for not responding to something that wasn't there. So um, I'm very aware, and I'll update those grades this week too. I wanted to give everybody a chance to get in there and do what they needed to do. Let's see, other things in grade front. Blogs, you'll have a blog due again next Sunday. I haven't looked at last night's yet, but I will. I'll be all back on by today, tomorrow. Back to working full time. Usually on the weekends I work a ton, but this weekend I was gone, so I only did a few hours each day. So I just have to do a little bit of catch up. So I will get all of that done today and tomorrow and get back to you on some other things. Please, if you have questions, email me. Let me know, what you're struggling with, how you're feeling about it. But that rough draft has to come in by tomorrow night. Yeah, tomorrow night, Tuesday night. And then you can get some feedback, and then we'll be flipping them right back around so that the final draft can come in by the end of the week, like Sunday night. So just kind of keep your eyes peeled for all of that good stuff coming your way. All right, folks, make sure you use that voice, make it strong, make it yours, make it correct. The more you do on the rough draft end, the better it will be, and the easier it will be for you on the final draft end. And it's easier for people reading it too. It's easier for me to give you feedback the stronger the draft is. So, all right, folks, have a great Monday. Talk to you later.